Hello and welcome in. I'm Phil Murphy. This is the Heroes of the Dorm Bracket Reveal. It's the Heroes of the Storm answer to March Madness. 64 schools enter, one champion's crowned, and we're not wasting any time. Let's take a look at the top half of Quadrant 1. Your number 1 overall seed, the Dream Eaters out of UC Irvine. They take on IU Crimson out of Indiana. Winner of that matchup gets the winner of Florida against Utah. Then we have Panic Basket out of Johns Hopkins against BYU, and Quebec Trois Rivières against Texas State. Bron, TheSource Mitchell, and Albert Halorin Hailey join me now from Los Angeles. Guys, I want to talk about UQTR, not just because it's impossible to say, but if any team's going to knock off UC Irvine in this region, it might be them. Albert, looking at you, how would they do it?
Well, they're one of the more mechanically skilled teams that we have in a tournament, and they've only really struggled against some of the top performers, like teams of the caliber of UCI or Laval. If they're able to find confidence in themselves and play to that level, I think they can go very far, and I do believe they have what it takes to take down UCI.
Heading to the bottom half of Quadrant 1, IUPUI opens against the blasting Burros. So many great teams in this field. That might be one of my favorites at the Colorado School of Mines. Got Robert Morris against Missouri, Michigan against RPI, and improbable victory against Thief 6 out of Boston. Now you look at the rankings, improbable victory out of Buffalo and IUPUI would be the favorites. Albert, I know you want to talk about IUPUI. Why is that?
Well, their team name is Medivhel, and that's because they have a player in their team named Domavarian, and he plays a lot of Medivh. He's one of the strongest in the North American region, and he brings a lot to the table when it comes to melee assassin play and carrying team fights. They're a very strong, mechanically skilled team outside of just his play, but they're also under a lot of pressure. There are a few seniors and juniors, so this could be their last year to call themselves Heroes of the Dorm, so I think they'll go far.
And the big thing for them is going to be overcoming that pressure. Last year we saw them crack under it a little bit. They got pinched in draft, around that Medivh for Domavarian. So hopefully this year they can calm themselves down a bit, open up some new strategies, and really, perform the way we thought they would last year.
Heading to Quadrant 4 at the top, the UNT Eagles open against UA Heroes out of Akron. We've got the Death Knights of UCF against Wisconsin at Madison, and RIT takes on DigiPen. And my favorite name in the entire field, FSU Crab Legs, open against Lords. Albert, UNT Eagles, they're the top seed in this quadrant. What makes them so strong?
Well, UNT could very well be one of the most regimented teams that we have in this year's tournament. We've seen them practice consistently, and they play in the North American competitive scene against teams that have ambitions on making it to the pro level. So they practice to that level as well. They're very strong, they're consistent, and I think as long as they play to their strengths and they come out with the draft that they want, they're going to do very well.
And the bottom half of Quadrant 4, right at the top, a Canada Derby, British Columbia at Vancouver against the Ontario Institute of Technology. Then we've got Notre Dame against 8-Clap out of UCLA. That's followed by Stony Brook against UNCC, that's UNC Charlotte. And the Cal Poly Pomona Ponies open against 59 seed Iowa. Now, Cal Poly Pomona is the highest seed in this field, but Albert, Notre Dame is a team that you want to focus on. Why is that?
Notre Dame is a team that really impressed me, and speaking with their captain, he told me that a few of their members in the ranked mode of Heroes of the Storm were in the middle of the pack around the gold region, but in the last year they've worked really hard and made it up to the master rank, which is the second best. So that kind of commitment to dedicate yourself to improve as a player is something that we've seen really do well for them. They've punched above their weight class in a few instances, and I think as long as they continue to believe in themselves, they're going to do very well too.
All right, Bron, I want to get you in on this one as we head over to Quadrant 2. The number 2 overall seed, Laval, opens against York. That's followed by number 1 in innovation out of Arizona State, taking on Toronto. Another great name in this field, the Grease Trucks out of Rutgers against Georgia. And a first-round matchup that maybe not a lot of people are talking about, but should be a lot of fun, Tennessee against Alberta. Bron, why does this Rutgers squad, Grease Trucks, stand out to you, aside from their fantastic name?
So the Grease Trucks is a name we've seen before in Heroes of the Dorm. This is a team that's shown up multiple times, but this is really where it seems like they're starting to get their stride. They've got some competitive experience under their belt, and they actually bring out an interesting double tank strategy, true hard tank, going with lots of solid front line for their team, and then balancing that out with some very good mechanical players. They're going to have to get through Laval, but this might be their best opportunity to do so.
Bottom half of Quadrant 2, the Tricky Turtles of UConn opened against McGill. Then we got Waterloo against the Worcester Polybombs out of WPI. Cal State Fullerton, the 26th seed, opens against Houston. And Minnesota opens against the Ramblin Rex. Now, Minnesota in that first match, probably a heavy favorite. Bron, how far realistically can this Minnesota squad go?
They could get considerably far. This is a team that's put in a lot of work, and also a team we didn't really see coming. It's, you know, one of those teams that we look at the bracket and be like, oh yeah, Minnesota, wow, they're ranked 7. Wow, they've actually put up some pretty good numbers. This is also a team with a couple of other unique strategies. They have 2 main ones: dive, follow, and burst, where they send in a very heavy aggressive front line. Second strategy is just play it very safe, bait in over aggressive teams, block them off, and then be able to just re-engage very quickly. And just being able to play 2 very strong, distinct styles will get them far. We'll see how far it does get them at the end of the day.
Wrap things up with Quadrant 3. The top seed in Quadrant 3, scratch 'em, out of Kentucky. They face UMBC, the Retrievers, who college basketball fans got very familiar with, becoming the first 16 seed to knock off a 1 seed in men's basketball, the round of 64. Very recently, there'd be a similar type of upset here if they're able to knock off Kentucky. Maryland takes on Quake and Bake out of Penn, another fantastic team name. And my alma mater, the Patriots out of George Mason, open against Texas A&M. Wrapping this half of the quadrant, San Diego opens against UNO, University of Nebraska, at Omaha. But we got to talk about the top seed, Bron. What makes Kentucky so strong?
Kentucky's a good squad that we had no information about last year, who made it all the way to the round of 4. They made it to that land finals. They've got that competitive experience. They've also started to put in the hours. They've made some roster changes. It actually used to be 2 sets of brothers that were on the team, and then another guy who also had a brother who hung out with them as well. So it was this, you know, great group of guys playing the game. They, however, are just, they've gotten really, really strong. They've put up very good numbers. It'd be amazing if UMBC was able to pull off that same kind of magic. 62 seed versus 3 seed seems like similar odds to me, but I don't really think it's going to happen. Although I'm secretly crossing my fingers. It would ruin my predictions, but I'm crossing my fingers it happens.
Definitely would be a lot of fun. Wrapping the round of 64, let's head to the bottom half of Quadrant 3. The Golden Mishas of Cal Berkeley open against Ottawa. And I want to get this right. Bo Gucks of Ohio State open against the Mountain Hawks of Lehigh. Wrapping things up, the 2017 seed Utah Valley faces Carleton, and the LSU Purple, number 6 overall, open against Illinois. Bron, LSU's the strongest team in this quadrant, but you want to talk about the Golden Mishas of Cal. Why is that?
Yeah, well, you'd think we'd be talking about LSU because they were the runners-up from last year. This is truly the bracket of legacies. Cal Berkeley are former champions. Now, it is not the same roster. That was years ago. That was the first years of the dorm. But they look better than they have ever before. Their only loss within their region was to UCI, the number 1 seed. And even though LSU are the uncrowned kings, we do have a legacy here, and here's the dorm, where the previous runner-up has won every subsequent year. I don't think LSU is going to be able to make it, and I really do think that Cal Berkeley might put up a serious fight to them. And even if they don't, Kentucky at the end of the day might stop them as well.
Bron, that is a fantastic stat about the success of the runner-up. So I want to lean into your guys' predictive strengths and abilities. Albert, we'll start with you. Who's your heroic 4, and who do you have winning it all?
Well, for me, UCI, they're number 1 seed for a reason, so I think they're going to be able to make their way to the heroic 4. I really believe in Notre Dame's ability to play at a high level and go against some of these stronger opponents. They'll make it to the heroic 4 as well. It might just be because I'm from New Jersey, but I got to go for Rutgers making it to the heroic 4. I really believe in the grease trucks. And I'm going to round things out by saying LSU will be able to make their way to the heroic 4, but at the end of the day, I got to give it to UCI.
Bron, I'm not letting you off the hook without a prediction. Who's your heroic 4, and who do you have as champions of Heroes of the Dorm 2018?
So I similarly believe in UCI. I think that they are going to make it all the way to the finals. I see them in the finals. Out of the bottom half of the bracket, I see Cal Poly Pomona. I think that they will upset. I think they'll make things interesting. In the top half, I've got Laval coming out of there, and then I also have Kentucky over LSU, and it hurts me to say it, but I don't think LSU's got what it takes this year. I really think that Kentucky will take them down. I see UCI and Laval in the finals, and and I think UCI will win it. We've had a dominant performance out of them. This is actually a rematch of our end of the Swiss bracket. Both of these teams came into it undefeated, and UCI took it then. I think they'll do it again.
All right, Bron, so you trust the seeding process. You like a lot of the favorites. Albert going out on a limb a little bit with the Grease Trucks and the Heroes of Notre Dame. Guys, thanks so much for the time and analysis. For a complete breakdown of this field of 64 for Heroes of the Dorm 2018 and all things from the world of esports, keep it locked right here on ESPN.com/esports.